Hi friends! Welcome to the September video for my Study Abroad 6x12 conversion series. So if you are new for this video, I do encourage you to go back and watch the introduction in August one, where I talk about all things related to this project, why I'm converting to a 6x12, how I'm approaching it, products, that kind of thing. So today, what I want to do is start with an overview of what I've completed in the last month, and then we will pull out the September pages and get those switched over. So one thing you might notice right away is that I have added to my cover page. What I had originally was a Kathy Zilski digital template 6x12, which had this bracket on it. You could add your own digital paper behind. And then I had Cairo, which was an Allie Edwards digital stamp, 2004 to 2005, and that was it. And I had always intended to add to that, but I had, as most things in this project, never gotten around to it. And so I was inspired to go ahead and start doing that now. So one thing you might notice right away is this amazing puffy Sphinx from the 2022 Allie Edwards travel collection. And I used those throughout. So I have the Sphinx here. I stamped one in volume. I used my label maker, Dymo label maker. So that's a little bit of a formula I'm using, is puffy label and then the word version of the number. And then at the bottom, I also added a little label to put the start and end dates for each album, because I do anticipate having several albums. So right now I am working on volume 1. I have August in here, but I did go ahead and already make up the additional 2 and 3. Actually, I'll switch these around because that looks a little weird. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? So yes, so I also did 2 and 3. I used the same formula of the label maker and the stamped number. I have labels already on here in preparation. These are the 3 that I already had printed for my original 3 12x12 albums. So I started here. I will print more if I need to. I do anticipate that. And so one thing I did was I used the Sphinx on this one, and then I used the pyramids on volume 3. So those are the 2 Egyptian themed ones that came in the collection. And then for volume 2, I used a map. Just to show you, these are the puffy stickers from this year's 2022 Allie Edwards travel collection. These are the world icons, the specific geographical sites. And then there's also a set of coordinating, just kind of general travel icons. So what I made a point of doing was I used the specific ones on 1 and 3 and a generic 1 and 2, so that now if I have to add 4, 5, 6, I can just pull more generic ones and it will look all intentional and wonderful. And there's plenty of options that would work perfectly fine. Cameras, passports, suitcases, that kind of thing. So I have made my cover pages, which is very exciting and feels like some good progress. I did jump ahead to October because I want to order photos soon, and I would like to order the enlargement for the back of my cover. So this is a photo from October, and I knew I had a lot of sightseeing photos there that would be like a strong vertical. And so I went ahead and did that. So that one is on order. The first page that I have complete here, I did say that I wasn't going to hold myself to the goal of finishing 2 pages in August, but I got really excited about the project and I got excited about some new products that were coming out, and I just started telling stories at a rapid pace. I have completed this page, which is about the flight to Cairo and going to Chicago for that flight. So I have lots of stories in here, and this was very much inspired by the new Practical Scrapper Destination series she's doing of digital products. One of those is called In the Air, and it's about all things flying and airports and layovers and that kind of thing. So I went ahead and filled this in. This card was already in there from my original album. It's a Project Mouse card. And yeah, I just kind of played around with stuff. So I did lots of stamping, some of my favorite kind of use of labels and just little puffy, it was really fun. I just had a good time completing this page. So the next page is not yet finished. This page is almost finished. The only thing I still need to add is I need to cut a vinyl word file that says roommates to put here, but I'm going to do several words at the same time, so I haven't done that yet. And then this page is also completed. You've probably seen it by now on my Instagram. And this one was also kind of an accidental page in the sense that I just kept pulling out cards that I liked that I thought would work, and all of a sudden the page was full. And so I was like, well, I guess I might as well just type up these stories now. This is another page that's very story driven. It's more of a traditional project life, chronological kind of everyday life themed page than a big event or sightseeing day. And so, yeah, I just have a bunch of different fun little bits. These two were both from the Good Story Kit, which was the story kit for August. And then I just pulled in some other bits and pieces and played around. It's, I think, all Allie Edwards cards except for this one, which is Studio Calico. I used my stamps. I got to use one of my burnt cork pieces that I really love. Just really told a bunch of stories from that first week of moving in. And I think that's really, so I use this currently card and it says, currently making new friends, currently exploring the city, currently living the dream. And that really just sums up that first week of living there. So this is another page that I have completed from August. One thing you might notice is that when I sent this through the printer, this line here, for some reason, didn't print completely. It got like caught up, and I decided to just roll with that. This is a huge project. I have a ton of stories to tell. I just can't get hung up on that kind of thing. I was surprised in August. I had anticipated for when I wanted to finish 2 pages, I would do things more like these big sightseeing pages and specific days and that kind of feel. And I ended up telling a ton of stories. These are kind of the pages in between those other events. And they have lots and lots of little stories. And I told so many. I think I've told like 15 stories already. And it just feels so good to be getting this out. The other thing is I really want to use lots and lots of my travel stamps in this album. And so I'm kind of using this passport stamp stacked up, overlapped kind of feel. And I'm going to try and use that a lot throughout just because I can use all my different travel stamps then. So, moving into September, I will pull these out now because I have some extra pages in here, and then I have a few more things to show you. One thing I did is I started pulling out all my different ID cards from the album and putting them in a page here. So that's going to end up somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where yet. I also am trying not to put too many cards in advance. I want to have the option of pulling out a page and using whatever products are really inspiring me in the moment. But that being said, while I was kind of going through stuff for this, thinking of stories, brainstorming, I started writing down post-its for a lot of different like news events, big kind of world events, local events, things like that happened while I was there. And I remembered I had a collection from Ellie's studio that was all news themed. And so I pulled those out to remember to use them. So I just have a lot of those news stories for now stuck into this page protector, and I'll mix them up as I go. While I was in my Ellie's studio cards, particularly 4x6s, I found a bunch of other ones that I thought would be really fun to use throughout. So food ones are always good. This is a currently card that I thought would be fun to mix in there. And then I had originally put Zamalek, which is the name of the neighborhood I lived in. Let's see, where was it? It was just along the edge of this card here. But I also managed to fit it then in here. So I pulled off the stickers, but I'm sure I will want to use the neighborhood some other time. So I just put it on wax paper and stuck it in there. I thought the highlights from the year card would be really fun to kind of close out the album. And then I also had this card with a bicycle on it, and I don't often bicycle, but I know I have several photos from one day that would be good for, so I stuck that in there for now. This page is a spread I am doing for Nellie and Clem using her new book-themed collection. So this is going to tell the story of some books that I read over that year, a lot of like series and things like that. And so you will have already seen this by the time the video goes up. Going in, then we have these pages that I showed you last time, which were my tester ones from the week my mom came to visit. And I did finish this page since the last video, but you will have already seen that on Instagram as well. So that is where we are starting today. I will move this to the side now, and I will go ahead and pull out my 12 by 12 album, and we'll see what we're going to be working with. Okay, so I've pulled my monster of a 12 by 12 album back out. I have had to prop it up pretty significantly on the side to avoid the glare, so if it looks a little wonky, that's why. So our first page here has our extra photos from August. And then going into September, these are the stories that I will be rearranging and telling. So our first page is our travel up for orientation in the Sinai at Sharm el-Sheikh. And then I addressed this a little bit last time, but I'm really excited to start getting into the meat of this project, really, because I have a ton of photos from climbing Mount Sinai because I was using a film camera. And so I have kind of a whole roll from this event. And I think this is going to be a really good place to cut back on photos and condense things and just really decide what is important for telling that story. And so this is several pages, 1, 2, 3, 4 spreads that I'm hoping to cut down to like maybe 2 or like, yeah, and with an insert maybe, but just really kind of condense some of this. So then we have a page here that is just around Sharm el-Sheikh, the hotel. I love that I have the orientation agenda or schedule here. And so I'll definitely be adding that. I'll have to figure out how I want to add a 6x8 booklet. I have a postcard from the hotel we stayed in, and I am thinking maybe I will just like fold over this page protector to include this booklet, which would be perfect. So we'll see how that comes out. And next up, I have again, bunch of pictures that I'm hoping to condense down that are from snorkeling in the Red Sea. So I have some people pictures that I'll definitely want to include. And then I have a bunch of pictures from an underwater, like a disposable underwater camera that I had brought. That will be a good place, I think, really to condense some things down. This is heading back from our orientation. And then I have a couple pages here that holds a lot of the pictures of the dorm. So I only lived in the dorm first semester, and there's things that are just pictures of the dorm. Like this page is more pictures of stories that relate to living in the dorm. So I think this will be a really good place also to kind of rearrange. It's something that doesn't necessarily have to be in the specific place chronologically, but it's given me an opportunity there. And then we just go into some more real life stuff. So this was the first day of school. This is just like hanging out with my friends. And then we have another trip to the pyramids. This time we did go in. So I have, again, a lot more pictures. I have a full spread and an insert. Yeah, just different events around the dorm and going shopping and all different things. This one I've folded over and taped, and I will be doing this on occasion because there are pictures of like parties or events we went to that there's a lot of people in there, and I don't know that all of them would necessarily want to be on the internet in these photos. So I will keep them just a little bit like folded over and restricted from the videos. This one again has a ton of room that can be condensed down. These photos aren't necessarily even from this chronological area. I was kind of using them to talk about like the different bars and pubs and stuff we like to go to. So that is something I'll take a look at when I'm doing the pages. I have a full spread here taped together. That's another like big party with tons of photos. And then this is a sightseeing day in Islamic Cairo. So this will be particularly through this section now is kind of the first time I've encountered using are having a lot of vertical photos, and I'm going to have to decide how I want to include those into my 6x12 album. This is another area of Cairo, the City of the Dead. This is Coptic Cairo. And so, yeah, just a big sightseeing day through there. Just some like taxi and subway stories. Another like night out. And then we move into October. So it's a fairly large chunk here. I think there's somewhere in the region of 20 spreads. So I'm really interested to see how those condense down or get laid out in my album for September. And I am just going to go ahead and start taking these out, and I will rearrange them and check back in with you. Okay, so I took all the pages out, and I'm just checking back in with you to just tell you that, yes, I am kind of intimidated about this. This is a lot of pages. It's a lot of work to finish. It's a lot of work right now to kind of think about how I want to convert them to 6x12. So this is not all, I'm just saying I'm cutting a lot out of these videos. It's not nearly as streamlined as it looks. And if you are working on a big project and are intimidated or struggling, I totally feel you. Okay, diving in. Okay, guys, I think it's getting maybe a little bit dark out, but I just wanted to check in quickly here for this stage. And unlike last month where I just kind of had all my page protectors spread out, this month they got to be quite bulky and quite a few of them. And so I stuck them in this binder as I was going through to just kind of hold them in order as I wanted to. So you can see there's quite a few full 12x12 here, which I will go ahead now and cut down to 6x12. And then I will take you on a little walkthrough of how this came together. Okay, guys, I've got all my September pages in the album, and it is getting real chunky. It's very exciting. I'll show you here. So September goes through about there. So I do have like about a couple weeks worth of pages in the back here that are just being stored for now. And the albums I'm planning to use are a little bit bigger. They have a little bit bigger rings than this one here. So I am still hoping to get October into this album as well. So that'll be August, September, and October. And that seems like a good ratio for me. Like I said, I came into this knowing it's going to be a lot of spreads, a lot of albums probably. And I am okay with that because I am finally excited about getting these stories recorded. Okay, so jumping in here, we have, this is the back of the pyramids page from the a month before. So we've already seen that. And then we have a page about the trip up to Mount Sinai. I have my September divider in here. This was a huge reduction in pages and pictures. So everything about like sunrise on Mount Sinai is now in this spread with a 4x4 insert, which is here. And then I have one more spread about kind of daylight hours on Mount Sinai. And then we arrive in Sharm el-Sheikh. So I have kind of all my hotel stuff through here. I have my orientation itinerary, and then I have some beach pictures from our first day. The next day we did some snorkeling. So this is another area I reduced a ton. I took a lot of my 4x6 photos from my underwater camera and cut them to 3x3s so they fit into this protector here. I did intentionally try and leave some blank spots so I can do some embellishment and play around with some products. I also kind of wanted to have a see-through one there. I do have some blanks on the back here. And as I was putting my extra photos away, I pulled out a couple more. So I will go ahead and cut these down and get them in a couple more of these pockets. And then that's less photos to store and more that are in progress. This is kind of that night and our last day in Sharm. And then I have some bus pictures here. I have a 4x12 insert with my first day of school picture, and then just me outside a restaurant we really like. This is just some more like bars and restaurants we went to. I have another pyramids page here. So the outside kind of has like the horses and pyramids photos. The inside has more of the pyramids themselves. And then the back has some of the cemetery at the pyramids that we went to. Going on, just more life stuff, more hanging out with friends. And then I did put in a page of the dormitory. So that was, let me think, it was the front of one 12 by 12 page and then a full 12 by 12 or 12 by 24 spread for the next page. And for now, I have it here. I did remove several of those photos, which we will talk about in a minute, but I put a bunch of them in here. I actually used a Design G flip out, which has the vertical 4x6s along the side. And I did that just to pull some of the bulk out to this side because a lot of my inserts run through the middle. So that is going to be a page about the dorm. Then I have the Fluke ride. These pages are taped together because they're those parties we talked about earlier. Just more stories, more friends, whatever. Not whatever, good times. This is some sightseeing around the city that we did. So this is Islamic Cairo. And then this side is the City of the Dead. And right now I have them in a, Design E page protector, which I cut in half. So that's the one that's all 6x6s. And what I am thinking is because I have several like very strong verticals here, is I'm going to divide them in half into 3x6s and just cut a little bit off of each side. And it's not ideal, but it's a good way to get them all in without building up a lot of bulk from inserts. And I'll probably continue doing that throughout the album. So I have a little bit of a problem here in that I cut down a bunch of photos to horizontal 3x4s to like match with the page protector that held the verticals. So I have a bunch of those and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them yet. So I just put them in the pockets for now. I may reprint, I might do some kind of collage, we'll see. Okay, so we have another site here. So this is kind of one area, and then this is another part of that same area. Again, more stories, friends, hanging out, college kids stuff. And then that brings us to the end of September. So I'm super excited to have all of these pages to choose from now. I have tons of options in terms of products, lots of sightseeing, lots of hanging out with friends. I got some beach stuff. I've got some city stuff. I've got some like school stuff and dorm stuff and boat stuff. And yeah, just tons and tons of options. So I'm really happy with this. Let's go ahead and look at some statistics. Before I rearranged, I had 16 full 12 by 24 spreads and 3 inserts. I did reduce my photos a lot to get them into these 6 by 12 spreads, but I have a similar number of pages. So I have 17 full 12 by 12 spreads to 6 by 12s. I have 4 12 by 24s. So the ones that flip open, like these ones. So this is like a 12 by 12 here, and then there's another full 12 by 12 underneath. So I have 4 of those. And then I only have 2 inserts that only take up a portion of the interior. So that works pretty well for me. Like I said, it's getting very full, very chunky, but I'm still hoping to fit October into the same album. It won't be this album. The album I do plan to use does have slightly bigger rings, so hopefully that takes care of some of that. And I am going to put this away, and then I'll share some more of how I have condensed this. Okay, so I'll start by showing you the photos that I've weeded out for now. As I mentioned last time, I'm going to continue storing these in chronological order until I have my album kind of established and I'm confident that's how I want it and I've got all the pictures I need. For now, I have, this is the August leftovers, which was from a pyramids trip. Then I have a ton of Mount Sinai pictures. Like I mentioned, this was a film camera, so I have like a full roll of film, plus whatever I took on my digital camera. So tons and tons of Mount Sinai, lots of sunrise pictures. Then we go into snorkeling and Sharm. So got some more underwater pictures there. I have a couple left over from another pyramids trip, and then a couple left over from just exploring the city, and then it's blank on the back. So we now have 4 page protectors going back into the 12 by 12 to hold albums, or to hold photos out of the 20 some that were there originally, and the rest are all in my 6x12. So I did already mention that I am going to go ahead and cut these down and add them to my snorkeling page. So those are not really extras at the moment. I also have a stack of photos that I took out because they were not in chronological order at the time. They were used to fill other themes, but because of the way they are arranging now, I'm going to go ahead and stick them back in the album in their chronological order and see if I can't make that work when we go ahead to do that. I also have a whole bunch of paper products that I took out from their spots, and I will make sure to get those tucked back away into my stash. And then it's very satisfying this time because I have a whole stack of photo bits from when I cut things down and condensed them, and they can all be disposed of, recycled, thrown away, whatever. So I have those to get rid of. So all in all, this was a pretty successful kind of experiment of what a full large month would look like. I am super excited to jump into making some September pages. You'll see them on my Instagram, links below, and I will be back next month to show you what I've made and then to start working my way through October. So hopefully you enjoyed this little look. You know the YouTube drill. Question, comments, likes below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know if this inspired you to work on something similar. And I will see you again next month. Bye, friends.